business is Pledge of Allegiance, so I'd ask everyone to rise. Okay, thank you. I'd like to welcome Councilor Kinch and Councilor Shaw to the meeting tonight. I appreciate that you, Mr. Kinch especially, come to all these meetings. All right, next is approval of the agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda. Motion approved by Mrs. Waters.
Second.
Second by everybody else. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it, 5-0. Please note for the record tonight that Mr. Salvatore and Mr. Fiorello are absent tonight. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. We have item number A, approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of 12/12/2019. Item number B, approval of minutes from the executive session of 12/12/2019. Item number C, enrollment report from January 1st, 2020. D, school police report from 12/1/2019. E, school bus inspection reports from 1/1/2020. And the residency truancy report from January 1st, 2020. Need a motion to approve or ask any questions about these items? Motion approved by Mrs. Waters.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Friedman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. Next is report of executive session meeting on January 9th, 2020. There were no votes taken tonight during executive session, and I need a motion to seal the minutes from executive session. Motion by Mrs. Waters.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Friedman. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. Next is the superintendent's report. Mr. Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. The first item that I'd like to share with you involves a competition that the high school was involved in. Cumberland High School involved in the National Sodexo Challenge, where students were challenged to participate in a healthy snack contest. And there were 29 states participating, 194 school districts, and 227 high schools. And Cumberland placed 19th nationally. Pretty impressive. And as a result, Cumberland High School was awarded $1,000 in grant money. And Shauna Spillane is here, our Sodexo Food Services Manager, to talk a little bit more about this competition and the award that was received by the high school.
Thank you, Bob. Good evening. I'm happy to present this check to a local club here that was formed recently by three seniors here at Cumberland High. It's called Fittrition, and they're here to talk a little bit about what they're planning on using the money for in some of their challenges. So we have Brendan here to speak.
Good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. So Clippers for Church, I'm just going to tell you guys what it's about first. So we like to promote health and wellness in the school. Every month, we have 2 challenges, one fitness, one nutrition. Our most recent challenge, as you heard, is to promote healthy breakfast options throughout the school, because without a good breakfast every day, it is really hard to get your day started and accomplish things throughout your day. Rebecca runs our social media on Instagram. The ad is Clippers Fittrition if you'd like to participate in any of the challenges. So we're really excited to receive this check. We can put it to good use so we can so that we can have better prizes and
Yeah. Congratulations. Can I ask a question? Is this, and forgive me if I'm wrong about this, but is this Fittrition, is this the thing that was started by Mr. Smith? You all are involved in that. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, did you do the color run and that's, I mean, was that a part of this whole thing? Or can you actually provide a little information about what you all are doing in the high school to, you know, generate these healthy habits and that sort of thing?
So the color run used to be the project that the fitness education classes would run, and they were very. Everybody brings it down. No problem.
Thank you.
So the color run, 5K, was first run by all of the fitness classes at the high school. They put it together every year, and that was Mr. Smith would always pick a charity to put that through, and he wanted to keep this going since the color run had stopped, the 5Ks had stopped. So he wanted to promote another healthy way in the school. So he approached us at the beginning of this year and had started to do this last year with Steven Shalino, as you guys may know, Steve. What we do is we all participate in the challenges, so that we try to lead by example, so that all the students can see if we can do it, everybody else can do it.
All right, that's great. And one of the things that I think would be helpful for everybody to know, I think this is somehow connected to the district wellness subcommittee, and I think this organization, I think, was somehow started as a result of the work that we were doing in that committee. So, well, good for you all for your involvement in this, and thank you so much, and thank you, Shauna, for
Thank you.
getting us involved in this.
All right, take your
You look very fit, by the way.
All right.
So the other thing that I wanted to mention, and as you could see is on the agenda, is, as you all know, the state legislature made some changes to Title 16. Title 16, you hear Steve Adams talk about that all the time. It really is the law that governs education in the state, and there have been some changes. And, you know, Rhode Island has been attempting to mimic the good work that's happening in Massachusetts. That is why we have adopted the assessment similar to the one in Massachusetts, RICAS. We're also, in Rhode Island, trying to do more site-based management, which they have the opportunity to do in Massachusetts. So essentially, I mean, there's a lot of changes to this, to Title 16, but I think one of the things that impacts schools more is this whole notion of site-based management, where the principal and school staff have more say in hiring new staff to the building and making decisions about whether staff continues to work in the building, everything from coaches to teachers to support staff. So there is more responsibility given to schools and school improvement teams. That is a part of the legislation. So I have had several conversations with Steve about this, and we feel that it is important for you all to be provided more detailed information about Title 16. So we're in the process of scheduling a time. We're not exactly sure how we're going to do it, but we're going to be scheduling a time where we can provide more detailed information about the impact of the changes to Title 16. We have already started having conversations with the administrative team on these changes, and in my superintendent's meeting this morning, this was a topic that we discussed, and I think the Superintendent's Association is looking for more guidance from RIDE on this issue. So we have some time. The system that we are currently using, we can continue to use until we decide how we want to respond to the recommendations made by the state legislature. So just wanted to let you know that it is a front burner issue, and we will be scheduling a time in the near future for you all to learn more specifically about the changes that will be taking place. So, for example, one thing that just stands out in my mind, one minor thing is, you know how we ask for the advice and consent of the school committee to hire personnel? Well, that no longer has to happen because it's going to be done at the site. You know, it's interesting. I think we've done a good job of involving administrators, teachers, the constituents who are going to be impacted by new hires. They have been always involved in the process. I think just formalizes it a little bit more. So there are some changes that we all need to know about, and we'll be making sure that we share that information with you in the near future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Anyone have any questions? No? Okay. Probably this would be a nice item for the Rhode Island Association of School Committees, too, to have a statewide meeting on this. Okay, next is reports of standing committees, payment of bills. Since Mr. Salvatore is not here, I'll take this on. Last night, fiscal subcommittee did meet. We looked at the vouchers for the 1920 school year. We approved on a 2-0 vote. Mrs. Bernardo had been late coming to the meeting, but we approved it in the amount of $962,401.64 on a 2-0 vote. So I need a motion to pay the bills in that amount, please. Motion by Mr. Collins. Second by Mrs. Waters. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you. All right, next is Fiscal Management Subcommittee update. I'll give a quick update in regards to, we got our business office monthly report. Healthcare claims have gone down slightly for the month of December, as the business manager thought maybe nobody wanted to be in the hospital for the holidays. So we are still running $1.1 million deficit in the healthcare line item. So they are working very hard to come to the end of June with a balanced budget, if all possible. Next, we did discuss about buying a server for the school business office, which we went out and purchased because of the reliability of that server, and considering all the other issues districts are having with people breaking into their systems, we cannot have the business office server go down whatsoever.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Did you just say you've already purchased the server?
They went out to bid already on it, yes.
It's out to bid, or
Yeah.
has it been purchased?
Mr. Chandler, has it been purchased yet? Okay. Yeah, I had let the members know about the issue that they were having. They called me and told me that the server was failing in the business office and that they had to go out and do it, and it was an emergency to make sure that the business office did not fail. That's the key computer here that in the district, besides the one that we have for the schools, but this one is very important. So it was going to fail, and I let the members know about that back in December.
Okay.
Okay, and then,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Or should I wait until?
No, go ahead.
What kind of cloud solutions were looked into before purchasing a hardware server?
Could you repeat the question?
Yep. What kind of cloud solutions were looked into before purchasing?
We spoke to the vendor regarding what they have for cloud solutions. In the event they don't have a backup, that in the event of something does fail, cloud failure, we have no way to get payroll out. So discussions that we had regarding what we're going to do with that server, we decided that we're going to keep it in-house for only the payroll system. We've had it go down one other time before, and we were able to retrieve it from backup, things like that. We had interruption. The internet. Tonight. So we decided that we were going to keep it in-house only for business office details. A lot of other things do reside in the web, But after the further discussion with that, we decided to stick with it the way it was internally.
Okay. Thank you.
And then the building committee did discuss the vendor contracts that the building committee voted on last night that need to get done for the Stage 2 application. So that's the update from the fiscal subcommittee update.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question about the
Go right-
vendors as well?
Go ahead.
Have those assessments that those vendors are going to be doing, have those already been scheduled with the vendors? Like, are they prepared, once approved, to immediately
They
come
are
out?
prepared to go out and do the work immediately. Every one of them has told Colliers and Torado, the architect, that they can complete the work on time for the Stage 2 submittal. And that was discussed last night in detail with the building committee before it came in front of us. So they wanted to be sure. And there is an update next Tuesday from Torado and Colliers as well.
Thank you.
Okay. So that was the Fiscal Finance Subcommittee update. Next is Policy and Procedure Subcommittee.
Okay, let's see, policy did meet on Tuesday at 5:30, and some of the things we discussed, we did discuss B2 Code of Basic Management Principles and Ethical School Standards. However, that is actually being tabled at the moment. We also discussed the G1 Affirmative Action Plan. An amended policy was not presented, but Mr. Fiorillo is actually looking to do a full rewrite of this policy. His goal will be to remove the need for an annual review of it. So that's going to be something that we're going to look at again in the future. We also looked at I-7 school volunteers. This is something where there are many questions that Mrs. Sucado receives from Cumberland school volunteers, as well as a lot of school administrators and PTOs, about some of the finer details about volunteering in the district. So we did take a look at that. We added some clarifying language to help make that very clear for people. We did actually specifically add language that was added that only currently enrolled students of the Cumberland School District can volunteer at school events. All others needed to be at least 18 years of age and need to fill out the appropriate paperwork. So we did discuss those changes, and that was approved 3-0. Then for future discussion, we are going to be discussing smoke-free school language being added to our policies, and also B3 school committee meeting procedures and election of officers will also be on the agenda in 2 weeks. And that was everything.
Thank you, Mrs. Bernardo. Anyone have any questions? Hearing none, next is Achievement Communications Subcommittee update. Mrs. Friedman.
The Achievement and Communications Subcommittee did not meet this week. The next meeting is on January 21st, and our agenda item is an overall student achievement plan update for Garvin Elementary School.
All right, thank you. Next is District Health and Wellness, Mrs. Bernardo.
Health and Wellness did not meet this month. Our next meeting will be Thursday, February 6th. Although I will just make a note, considering what we had happen here tonight, that the Rhode Island Healthy Schools Coalition actually did highlight the high school nutrition program in their December newsletter, and they gave them actually a very nice write-up in that. And that was it for now.
All right, thank you. Next is comments from the public. If there's anyone that would like to speak, please come to the podium. Mr. Kinch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. First, I'd like to wish everybody a Happy New Year, and it was a pleasure working with you for the success you had over the last year, and I wish it for everybody this year. With that said, right out of the gate, as you know, and you informed us about the possible of the 800,000 shortfall due to the values increase in the homes. So I just wanted you to know that the mayor's reached out. I talked to him today. I think he's been reaching out to our senior senator, Senator Pearson, as well as Representative McLaughlin, about getting some type of meeting together so we can go forward in this as a united front. And I believe he's going to be contacting you, Mr. Chairman, in the near future, if he hasn't already.
Yeah, it's very important that we talk to the, those in the State House, because we got some good news on Monday that our state reimbursement for construction aid is going to drop from 43% to 37% beginning next year as well, because of the increased value of the town, but doesn't explain how you pay for it.
Right, right.
So I appreciate that.
Anyway, I just wanted to update you on that.
Thank you very much. Okay, next is new business, public hearing regarding of amended policies. Item number 1 is B2 Code of Basic Management Principles and Ethical School Standards. That was approved upstairs on a 3-0 vote, but we're going to table that tonight to our next meeting because we would like to clarify that, part of that was talking about school committee stipends and that. That's where our stipend is listed under the B2 Code of Management Principles. So that's tabled until our next meeting. I need a motion to table it to the February 9th meeting. Motion to table. Second. Second by Mr. Collins. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. Next is item number 2, the G1 Affirmative Action Plan. I'd like to have that read into the record. Do I need a motion to approve?
That should be tabled. That one's not ready.
That one's not ready? Okay, so G1 is tabled. Do we want to table that to February 9th as well? All right, I need a motion. Motion to table by Mrs. Waters, second by Mrs. Bernardo. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0 to table. Next is the school volunteers. Do you want to read I-7 school volunteers? Do we want to have that read into the record? Need a motion? Motion by Mrs. Waters, seconded by Mrs. Bernardo. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. We are available for public comment in regards to that one item. I think Mrs. Bernardo was clear about what changes were being made in regards to it. So if there's anyone that'd like to speak in favor or against that, hearing none, we'll move on to discussion. Item number A, discussion of teacher A. There is nothing to report out in regards to the discussion of teacher A at this time. Next is item number B, discussion and the vote to approve some resolutions. SCPR 21-2020-01, purchase of server software for the business office. That would be empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase order with Hub Technical of Southeastern Mass for a server for the business office in the amount of $9,217.69. And again, I had let the members know about the issue we were having with the server in December, and I personally gave the business manager to move forward on this because it's such an important item. It falls under the $10,000 that the superintendent could have done himself, but I did it as the chair. And I, again, let everyone know, it is going to be paid from the technology budget in this year's budget, and I need a motion to approve. Motion approved by Mr. Collins, seconded by? Second by Mrs. Bernardo. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. Next is SCPR 1-2020-02, vendor contracts, technical assistance for RIDE Stage 2 submissions. Now, this was heard last night in the building committee meeting in regards to who was going to do what at the moment in regards to the Stage 2. The council was made aware of this, that this would be coming up, and they used the state master pricing agreement in regards to all of this. So what we have is a company called Greenwood Industries for $11,000 for doing roofing work at the various schools. We have asbestos inspection of roof and windows with environmental consultant and management company for $10,875. There's going to be surveys of schools with a company called Canavan. They will do Ashton and Garvin School for $28,500. Garofalo Associates will do Cumberland Hill for $12,022. Company called A1 Engineer will do Community School for $12,300. And structural support will be done by O'Day Engineers. It will be, the money for this will come out of the $83 million bond that the town will eventually fund. The only thing they did miss was the traffic consultant. That's what is going to be heard on Tuesday night as well. But everything was vetted through Colliers and Torado to make sure they got the best price possible to get this going. So I need a motion to approve those amounts for those contractors.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mrs. Waters,
Second?
second by Mrs. Friedman and Mr. Collins. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you. So there is a meeting on Tuesday night, if any member can attend. The building committee will get an update from Torado and Colliers in regards to where we stand in the application process to getting the work done. They will also either take up a resolution for the engineer to do the traffic study, or they may have us amend the contract with Torado, and we award the extra work to Torado, because the first bid that came in was $40,000, and Colliers and Torado both felt that it was maybe an $9,000 job, and they were just padding the bid because they knew of the time frame. So that will happen. We'll know more in the next day or two if we actually have to have a special meeting on Tuesday just to approve that, to keep this process going. We don't want any hiccups whatsoever on that, okay? So next is discussion and a vote to approve amended policies. Item number A is tabled. Item number B, G1, affirmative action plan, is tabled. And item number C, I-7 school volunteers. I need a motion to approve the I-7 policy as approved by the policy subcommittee.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mrs. Waters.
Second?
Second by Mrs. Friedman. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor? Ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you. All right. Next, we have a couple of retirement and a leave of absence. The superintendent, I have that list in front of me. The superintendent's requested advice, well, we don't need the advice and consent of the school committee on the retirement of Christine Egan.
So, Mr. Chair, Mr. Mitchell and I spoke about this, and the implementation date for the changes to Title 16 that Mr. Mitchell discussed is not until August of 2021.
Oh, okay.
Well, the required implementation date, they could be implemented before that. But
They
our
need to.
collective wisdom was that until we give you guys the wisdom of what the law says, that we just continue sort of in a business as usual. Nothing saying we can't continue business as usual until we get a handle on this. You guys are comfortable with those changes, and we can start implementing it sort of from an administrative perspective.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I have the retirement. I have requested the advice and consent of the school committee on the retirement of Christine Egan, an elementary teacher for the Cumberland School Department, with an effective date of March 15, 2020, after 32 years. I need a motion to approve. Motion by Mrs. Waters, second by Mrs. Bernardo. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. There is no resignation. We have a leave of absence. I request the advice and consent of the school committee on the unpaid FMLA leave of Alicia Krins, a health teacher at North Cumberland Middle School, with an anticipated leave date of March 10th, 2020 through the remainder of the 2019-2020 school year. Need a motion? Motion approved by Mrs. Waters.
Second?
Second by Mrs. Friedman. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. There are no appointments, additional appointments, so we'll take care of that. Next is school committee comments, school liaison reports. Mr. Collins? You wanted to talk in regards to the bus issue?
I just want to point out this ongoing issue with Durham Bus. that, we haven't had any issues with, kids being left, thank goodness, at Adams Farm or, at various sporting events as we had the last meeting. But we are I am getting daily reports from community school that kids are being doubled up on buses. And so this isn't getting any better. So it's just a problem with a different kind of, costume. So I think we just have to continue to document and consider options. It came to my attention that other districts are having similar problems with Durham. So, we're aware of that and we're mindful of that. So I just want everybody to know that, I have 2 girls in 2 different schools, and if they're having problems, that means other schools are having problems. So, while kids aren't being left behind, these Band-Aid solutions aren't really what we signed up for. And, kids are late and parents are angry. So, and I'm angry.
Right. I agree 100%. Anyone else? I just have one item for the school committee members. I know Mr. Kincher talked about this during the town council meeting in regards to clear direction of what the building committee will do and what the school committee will do as well. And last night it was brought up by one of the members of the building committee, Mr. Lindgren, and I've had conversations with the chair, Mayor Mudd, in regards to it. It's always been the past practice that the school committee will vote only after the building committee has vetted everything with Collier's and Toronto to make sure that we're getting the best price, the best product, and when it would be scheduled and so forth, so we can do it with the school committee and the superintendent to arrange how we're going to move children around. And, at our next school committee meeting, I would like to have a resolution for us to agree upon and vote on that so that the building committee has clear direction. Because when I did the 2010 and the trans building and the court, that's how it worked. The building committee, is the town's eyes and ears on this, and because we're not professionals when it comes to that. They asked very good questions last night about the roofing and what was going to get done, and that's why they're there in the building committee. So at our next meeting in February, I'll have a resolution or something in regards to that effect that we can give to the building committee and the council as well, so it spells out. We're not voting on anything unless the building committee has looked at it first, and I don't care how urgent it will be. That's the way it's going to go. And that's why they actually had a meeting last night, because I refused to move forward. So that'll come up in our next meeting. Anyone else? Mr. Superintendent, we have executive session again for tonight?
No, we do not, Mr.
We do not. I need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mrs. Waters, second by Mr. Collins. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you.